Hi all. Sociology of Education. M.Ed third semester TNTEU. Syllabus oriented class. Unit 2. Social System and Education. Part 4. I would like to begin with the social constraint. One of the most essential aspects of Indian culture is what is known as unity. How this so-called unity is maintaining? It is through social constraint. Social constraint, one of the external control on the individual freedom maintained by the society. Constraints on freedom are also a result of social inequality. The government, as a part of society, controls individual freedom through laws. These laws maintaining the unity of India. India is well known for having social system that is both complicated. Social change refers to the process responsive to many types of changes, to changes in the man-made condition of life, to changes in the attitude and belief of a man, to change, go beyond human control. As a new fashion or mode, either modifying or replacing the old in the life of a people or in the operation of society, we can say it is a social change. Now let's begin with the constraints on social change in India. We have caste, ethnicity, class, language, religion, regionalism. Let's see one by one. Before that, if I am asking a question, is these constraints on social change in India, like division of caste, ethnicity, class, language, and religion and regionalism, are good or bad? I'll get two opinions. Those who are getting privilege from these things, they'll say it is good. Those who are suppressed from the division of these, they'll say it is bad. These two opinions continues the existence of these constraints. Boon of Bane, let's start our class with the caste. Caste. Caste is a word, is from a Spanish and Portuguese origin. The term casta in Spanish meaning breed or race or group having hereditary quality. The caste system generally means the categorization or division of people into different groups based on their caste. Due to this division, discrimination also led to violence. Caste can be defined as a hereditary endogamous group, which meaning they will marry from the same society or same local community. They have common name, common traditional occupation, common culture. Relatively, they have a rigid matter of mobility. They will not move from one caste to another. And they have distinctiveness of status and forming a single homogeneous community. In India, we have four groups of caste like Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. Evil face of the system of caste is untouchability, discrimination, division of labor, and slavery. What are the features of caste? They are hereditary in nature. Division of society, hierarchy, restrictions on food, drink, and smoking. Endogamy is existing. Purity and pollution. Purity and pollution means those who are from upper caste consider as a pure, and those who are from lower class like Shudras, they consider as a impure. Caste all have an occupational association. Some groups, upper groups, have a privileges in that a particular section. Distinction in custom, dress, and speech. In all castes, they have a conflict resolving mechanisms. The mediators are there, problem solving persons are there, so they will resolve that any conflict existing in that caste. Caste is prevailing in Indian society. In India, different political parties now representing the interest of different caste groups. During elections, the political parties compete with each other utilizing the caste. Violence based on caste also erupted in recent times. Much of them are involving to attack lower caste. Despite the changes though, caste identify remains strong, and last names are almost always indication of what caste a person belongs to. Also, manual scavenging, the worst surviving symbol of untouchability, is still an occupation of the people and so-called lower caste. Caste system, great obstacle in achieving both justice and prosperity. The conception of hereditary occupation is exactly opposite idea of open opportunities, free competition, increasing specialization, individual mobility associated with a dynamic industrial economy. And another threat of this caste system is Factionalism or groupism is an important factor in the failure of development projects, particularly in rural area. Caste and subcaste memberships is one of the basis of the formation of these factions. These group will form according to caste and subcaste membership. In many areas where farmers belonging to one caste and amongst many other castes do not wish to cooperate, and it will be no direct benefit for them. In areas where the farmers are the ruling group, the development program likewise failed to gain widespread acceptance. Any project that apparently aids on caste is opposed by all other castes who are jealous of their position in the society or eager to defend their own position at everyone else's expense. Like caste groupism, the intercaste groupism also act as a barrier to social change. Is caste system on interaction with people of other caste. Previously, it does not permit mobility and industrialization, and today the use of politics has prevented the rulers to function in a constructive way. The value of a caste system like hierarchy, pollution, and endogamy were great barrier in the changing Indian society. Endogamy is still enforced among families, but not as strict as before. A woman's status is still significantly tied in the status of the male, but education and awareness of equalization for women has widely spread throughout the India. When technology and industrialization were accepted by common people, then only geographical mobility and consequently social mobility will be possible. Fatalism also prevented hard work and social change. Fatalism means the belief that all the events are predetermined, like famines, floods, earthquakes, poverty, unemployment, and were all considered to be the result of God's wrath. In industrial society, people have proved that control over the nature is possible, and this undesirable situation is not hopeless block but a challenge to man ingenuity. Castes are significant barriers to social integration as they create division and tension between different groups within the society. Initiatives by the government. Indian government has enacted laws to remove this untouchability and has also brought many reforms to improve the quality of life and for the weaker section of the society. A few of them are constitutionally granted fundamental human rights. About fundamental, already 7 fundamental rights is there, but now one rights to property is removed from the fundamental right. Now we have 6 fundamental rights. You know about the fundamental rights. One, right to equality, Article 14 to 18, right to freedom, Article 19 to 22, right against exploitation, Article 23 to 24, right to religion, Article 25 to 28, cultural and educational rights 29 to 30, right to constitutional remedies 30 to 35. In that Article 31 is shifted to Article 300 because the right to property is removed from the fundamental rights. For Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribes, Prevention of Atrocities Act 1989, provision of reservation in place like educational institutions for employment opportunities, establishing Social Welfare Department and National Commission for the Welfare of the Scheduled Caste and Tribes. To remove the division between weaker class and upper class, these all initiatives are taken by the government. These measures adopted by the government have brought some relief to the weaker section of the society. The urban areas have shown a good amount of impact and some improvement in the division of the society. Constitution provision. Article 14 to Article 18 is under right to equality. So Article 14 is equality before law. Article 15 is prohibition of discrimination on grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth. Article 16, equality in matters of public employment. Public employment in the sense equal opportunity for all citizens in matter of public employment or appointment to any office under the state. And 17 and 18, in 17 it abolition of untouchability. Article 18 defines abolition of titles. The most significant driving forces behind India's diversity issue are the country's rich linguistic and ethnic variety. Ethnicity. The word ethnicity comes from the root word ethnic, which loosely means race. An ethnic community does not strictly have a racial connotation. A community may distinguish itself from others by means of particular culture, language, religion, or a combination of all of these is ethnicity. Because of this particular aspect, the ethnic communities often come in conflict with other communities with they come in contact. In India, variety of pluralistics in terms of language, race, religion, and so on. Ethnic conflict has come a part of the political scenario. In most of the countries, including ours, the process of development and change have generated condition for ethnic conflict. Some characteristics of ethnicity. Ethnicity related to ascriptive identities like caste, language, religion, region, etc. getting by that group by birth. Inequality in terms of sharing powers between two ethnic groups resulting in the conflict. The ethnicity is usually socially mobilized and territorially confined. There is no development or developmental process that makes ethnic movements. Ethnicity is manifested in Indian politics due to some vested political interest. Ethnic groups that uses ethnicity for demanding political arena for alteration of their status, economic well-being, etc. And these are engaged very often in form of interest group politics. Some of the critical factors responsible for ethnicity. India is a pluralistic society. It is characterized by large diversity in its population with multitudes of caste and several religious, linguistic, cultural and racial groups. Because of intense competitions of scarce economic resources and heightened consciousness among the people of the different group to preserve their old age culture. India has always been vulnerable to assertion of ethnic identities. In India, uneven economic development of the country, because of which some groups feel that they have been marginalized and completely left behind the process of development. This makes them extremely vulnerable to the ethnic politics. Representative parliamentary democracy in India, where different ethnic groups compete for political power by stressing on horizontal solidarity and consolidation of shared interest. Increasing politicization of caste and religious identities are often wiped up by political leaders to mobilize people for their vested interest and petty politics. Fear amongst minorities, both linguistic and religious, they might get assimilated into dominant culture, leading to the dilution of their cultural heritage. Indians' feeling of alienation among the tribes of India because of faulty development policies leading to forced displacement from their age-old inhabited land and forest. So the critical factors responsible for ethnicity in India are some groups feel that they have been marginalized and completely left behind the process of development. Next is some groups are coming to political power for their shared interest and some politicians for their vested interest using this ethnic group and fear amongst the minorities of this ethnic group. An intense feeling of tribes in India may become alienated due to the faulty development policies. Forms of ethnic identity in India. Linguistic ethnicity. Language has always formed the basis of asserting ethnic identity in India. This was well evident during Dravida movement in state of Tamil Nadu in South India in 1914 and 1915. This protest broke out against the adoption of Hindi as a national language by Government of India. Because of this intense linguistic feeling, due to State Reorganization Act 1956, many states were carved out based on the language. Linguistic identity was again displayed in the state of Maharashtra in religious assertion and communalism. Religious assertion is the most difficult and intricate socio-politics issue that Indian state has to grapple with. When it comes to national building, especially like communal tensions, there is a mutual distrust between the communities in very high. Communalism is basically an ideology that's on hatred based on religious constructions. In modern times, India has become very high susceptible to being soiled by the communal ideologies. Huge population of India posing acute population but resource imbalance, uneven development leading to poverty, inequality and unemployment. And the politics of hatred have created huge disaffection among the people, especially among the youth. Under these circumstances, these youth thinks that other communities are responsible for this condition. Such passions are generally wiped up by the religious leaders and politicians for their vested interest. Tribal movement. An important dimension of this is what is called ethno-ecological movement, in which tribes are not only fighting against the displacement but also against the ecological destructions of their natural habitats due to the faulty development policies. The growing menace of Maoist violence in India, so-called Naxalism in tribal dominant region. Regions of country where the tribes are engaged in armed rebellion against the state and is direct consequence of their oppression, displacement, poverty and anger against their cultural erosion under the onslaught of dominant mainstream culture. Ethno-nationalism. This entails the transformation of ethnic groups into nationalities and their demand for autonomous governance or even section as sovereign. Ethno-nationalism. Transformation of ethnic group into nationalities and their demand for autonomous governance or even cession as sovereign nation states. For example, the separation movement in Kashmir, Khalistan movement by Sikhs in Punjab in 1917 and 1980s for a separate homeland, ethno-nationalism, the transformation of ethnic group into nationalities and their demand for autonomous governance or even cessions as a sovereign nation state. For example, the separation movement in Kashmir, Khalistan movement by Sikhs in Punjab in 70s and 80s for a separate homeland, and Naga movement in northeast India. Regionalism. This centers around three main factors. One is they fear that they are assimilated into dominant culture and they have to preserve one language and culture by demanding autonomous state. Economic development of India where certain group feels that they have been left behind being rich in the resources in their region. And third one is nativistic tendency, son of the soil concept. The regional identity become the source for ethnic strife. Example include the Jharkhand movement in the state of Bihar, Telangana movement in the state of Andhra Pradesh, the attack of South Indian in Mumbai in 1916, and simmering movement in the northeast state of Assam to expel the immigrants. Four rules which regulate the attitude of government towards the ethnic demands. There, all demands short of separation will be allowed, full expression, but separation demands will be suppressed. If necessary, government will use armed forces to suppress the demands. Second one, regional demands based on language and culture will be accommodated, but those demands based on religious difference will not be accepted. An ethnic demand will be accepted only when it achieves broad popular support in the region in the view of other groups involved in the dispute is essential for problem solving. This is all about ethnicity, constraint of social change in India. Next, let's move to another topic, class. In a society, several classes exist due to distinction in economic conditions. According to Karl Marx, classes are large groups of people who differ from another by their relation to means of production. By Max Weber defined class as a group of persons having same life chances, social opportunities. The definition of class and class struggle was given by Karl Marx. He used class as the prime concept to understand complexities of society. There are two classes, labor class, capital class. Labor class, also called working class, which involve in the working and production of goods. Capital class invests money in business and has a hold on profits. Another distinction happens on the basis of ownership of property. There are three predominant classes. The bourgeoisie, they own machineries and factories and they rely on profits as their income source. Landowners, their main source is income, rent from land. And the proletariat, their main source of income is wage they get from their labor. Class is a stratification or division of society into several ranks. Social science uses class as a most powerful concept of stratification for explaining social organization, social movements, and power structure. A social class is a stratum with definite identity recognized by its members and others. It is concerned with a group of individuals which cuts across caste and religion. In our society, classes are distinguished by their position and status. Some classes are privileged classes and while others are underprivileged classes. The agrarian class system in India. The British created new foundation for the emergence of feudal agrarian class structure. The agrarian system that involved in the rural areas during the British regime was based on Semindari or the Rautari type of land system. Semindari system had three main agrarian classes, Semindaris, tenants and agricultural laborers. The Rautari system had two main classes, landlords and peasants. In Semindaris, non-cultivating owners of the land were tax gatherers, tenants were the real cultivators, often without security of the land tenure. And the agricultural laborers which had the state of bounded labor. According to Daniel, one could divide the agrarian population of India into different class categories by taking three criteria. The income earned from the land, such as rent or wages. The nature of right held in land, such as proprietary or tenancy or sharing cropping right or no right at all. The suggested following model of agrarian class structure in India are Malik, Kisan, Mazdoor. Malik, this group was made up of big landlords and big landowners. Kisans, this group was composed of small landowners which had small amount of lands which is sufficient for their survival and substantial tenants. Mazdoors, landless laborers, they work for wages. In reality, the backward classes are not classes at all. but aggregates of closed status group. One's economic position is not determining factors in one's membership of the backward classes. Rather, membership is determined by the birth. Even today, agricultural service and low caste have high concentration in the unskilled occupation. The high status castes are found to be the professional and managerial occupation in the greater numbers. Consolidation of disparate land holdings. However, land reforms were not implemented effectively, therefore failed to improve the condition of the peasants in many states of India. Besides, certain other measures such as introduction of modern technology, provision of credits, we reinitiated. But overall, the ineffective implementation of land reforms could not alter the agrarian relations significantly. Time and again, this ignited peasants' upsprings and movements in different parts of the India. But these were retaliated by landlord castes through their power and institutional means and sometimes through violence. But the contrasting feature of agrarian structure in independent India were caste affiliations came back into the agrarian relations and played a significant role in the agrarian struggle post. Industrialization and urbanization divide society into industrialists and investors and labor class. Generally, three classes broadly identified in India have the following characteristics. One is upper class, those people who control and regulate wealth and investment and gain profit from wealth and investment. Middle class, those people who do white collar jobs or are in technical or administrative sectors. Lower class, these people do unskilled or semi skilled work. The class structure of the Industrial Revolution was the capitalist, the skilled professional, the factory workers. The capitalists, they are owners of the industries and business. They invest capital and earn profit of their investment. Skilled professionals, as technology has advanced, so have the need of the industry for business to implement new technology. Skilled professionals are needed. These can be any field from management to field work. Factory workers, the backbone of any production lines are in the factory workers who keep the production process running smoothly. Characteristics of class system. Class system is based on occupation, wealth, education, age, and sex. Hierarchy of status group. In general, there are three classes: upper class, middle class, and lower class. The status, prestige, and role is attached. Upper class are very less in number when compared to middle class and lower class. Status and prestige is most. This like a pyramid. Class consciousness. Wherever a class is formed, this feeling is consciousness is must. There should be a feeling of group. That is, when I belongs to a class conflict, is due to the people of pre-literate class feel that the upper classes exploit them. That's why they unite to revolt. The behavior action is determined by this class consciousness. The characteristics of class system is subclass. Class is divided into different groups similar to caste system. The class system is divided, but class system is an open system. There is no social restrictions. In general, there is an endogamy in a class. To maintain their status and position, they mix among themselves. It is seldom that marriage between upper and lower class is wished. Classes vary in consistency depending on the weightage given to ascription or achievement. In traditional societies, classes were more consistent and less mobile due to high ascriptive associations. Modern societies are more fluid owing to achievement orientation. Hence, classes stratify societies and provide answer to certain kind of sociological questions. The questions like poverty, exclusion, deviance, inequality, mobility, change, status, power, life chances, and lifestyles. Criterion for identifying classes may differ among different scholars, but a sense of class is ingrained in the collective consciousness and hence influences every aspect of society. Welfare economics sees an effort to redistribute wealth through progressive taxation, capital gain, tax, and estate duties, etc. Middle class and standard of living are both growing, however, class differences are still persist. Change in a society is possible only by fostering attitude towards a new way of doing things. Sticking to one's own tradition and not accept new ideas act as a barrier to social change. Now let's move on to next topic, language. Language is an integrating factor of nation's unity. But it is a matter of regret and concern that language has become a problem tending to a disintegrating force in India. In accordance with the provision of our constitution adopted in 1915, Hindi became the official language of a union government with effect from January 25, 1965. India is a land of diversity not only in terms of geography and culture but also in its language. According to 2011 census, there have 22 scheduled languages, and over 1,600 other languages and dialects spoken in India. This linguistic diversity has its advantages, but it also poses several challenges. The linguistic diversity of India. Language is a testament to the richness and complexity of Indian culture. It has contributed to the development of diverse and vibrant society. But it has created barrier to communication and unity, as people from different regions and linguistic backgrounds may struggle to understand each other. To address these challenges, the Indian government has implemented several policies to promote linguistic harmony and understanding. For example, it has established language academies to promote the study and development of regional languages. And it has also encouraged the use of bilingual education in schools. One of the most significant problems faced in linguistic diversity in India is the lack of standardization of various languages spoken in the country. Due to the vastness of the country, languages dialects vary even within the regions, making it challenging to create standardized version of each language. This lack of standardization also hampers communication and can cause confusion and misunderstanding. Another problem is lack of education in regional language. In many states, the primary medium of education is English, which is not the mother tongue of the most of the students. This often results in the students struggling to grasp a concept and failing behind in their studies. It also barrier to access education for those who are not fluent in English. Many states have their own official language, which lead to communication barriers between people from different states. It is not uncommon to see people are struggling to communicate with each other because they speak different languages. Indian vastness means that different regions speak different languages that make challenging for businesses to communicate effectively across the country. This lack of communication can lead to misunderstanding, delays, and even loss of business, and linguistic diversity also poses significant problems in the economic sector. Linguistic diversity also affects the political landscape of India. With so many languages spoken across the country, it can be challenging for politicians to communicate with people effectively. This often leads to politicians relying on divisive rhetoric to appeal specific linguistic communities, resulting in fragmented political landscape. Finally, linguistic diversity in India can also lead to social inequality. Those who do not speak Hindi or English often marginalized and discriminated against urban and rural areas. They may struggle to find job, receive education and access basic services, which can be further widen the gap between the rich and poor. Another issue faced in linguistic diversity is lack of education in languages other than dominant languages, like Hindi and English. Most of the school in India teaches in Hindi or English, making it difficult for the children to learn and retain their native languages. The result is that many Indian languages are dying out as younger generation are unable to communicate in with fluently. Standardization of languages, education in non-dominant language, effective communication, political unity, social equality, crucial areas that need to address to overcome the linguistic diversity problems faced by India. The use of different languages also lead to problem in the job market. Many companies require proficiency in English, which put non-English speakers at a disadvantage. Additionally, companies often prefer to hire employees who can speak local language, which means that people from other states may find difficult to find work. Linguistic diversity also creates challenges in governance and administration. For instance, it is challenging to create policies that cater to need of the people from different linguistic backgrounds. There is also an issue of translating official documents into different languages, which is costly and time-consuming process. Change may be rare and feared. When illiteracy promotes hierarchy, education insists on the idea of equality. Educated people generate all kinds of new desires and inventions. Move to next topic, religion. Religion can be defined as an arrangement based on daily faith, respect, ceremonies, customs, and traditions, which are regular parts of life. All the major religions around the world, including Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, Sikhism, Buddhism, and Jainism, can be found in India. Following are some of the effects of religion on Indian culture. Oneness. Nearly all the people belonging to a particular religion are distinguished from others who do not belong to that religion. Moral qualities. A good religion helps promote moral qualities such as caring for your guardians, protecting your kids, helping the poor, disabled, and demonstrating genuineness. Taking control of the society. By instilling certain moral qualities in individual, religion acts as a powerful tool for social control. Several issues have been arisen in Indian culture as a result of establishment of religion such as groupism. As religion divide people, it may hinder national ability to grow. Regular clashes. In India, clashes among different religious groups have become a common occurrence. As a result, beliefs that religion hold superiority and often attempt to enforce their religious customs on others. Insanity. Certain beliefs within religions can categorized as a superstitious and can impede both the progress of the society and of individual. An illustration of this is the denial of women's rights in the context of religious doctrines. Squares social change. It can be extremely challenging to change the minds of a moderate people, for example, by imposing restrictions on marriage costs because religion can stand in the way of social change. Religious fundamentalism. Fundamentalism in religion also stands in the way of societal progress. Fundamentalist religion makes people lethargic and fatalist because they believe that everything that happens in the predetermined way. As a result of man develops an illogical nature, continues to hold on to outdated tradition and conventions, etc. According to Emily Durkheim, religion is a unified system of beliefs and practices relating to sacred things, that is to say, things set apart and forbidden. Religious movements are social movements that aim to alter existing religious organization or establish a new religious group. Religious movements often emerge during the period of rapid social change and find a following among marginalized group of society. Rapid social change causes increased distress and security for marginalized people. Religion look for the means to deal with a new struggle or simply voice their needs. Religious movements provide both practical and psychological support for people with their society, culture, and economic problems. Social and religious reforms movements in 19th century aimed to alter the dangerous religious practices and eliminate superstitious and social evils from the Indian society. Educated intellectuals organized themselves to collectively put an end to among other things. Female infanticide, child marriage, polygamy, and animal sacrifice. The promotion of Western education and the education of young girls helped to remove religious traditions that oppressed women. Karl Marx believed that religion helped to preserve existing class structure. According to him, religion is also teaches people that it is pointless to striving for a revolution to bring about the social change in the life. Rather, it is better to focus on being good believer, and then you will receive your just rewards in the heaven. Religion plays a significant role in business organization, management practices depending on religion, for instance. Declaration of holidays for a particular religious festival, payment of bonus for the certain festivals, festival advance scheme, celebration of some pujas like Lakshmi Puja on Friday and Aida Puja in organizations, allowing low leisure for Muslims employers on Friday. Thus, religion is an important factor influencing the practices and policies of the organization. That concludes religion. Let's move to the new topic, regionalism. Regionalism is an ideology and political movement that seeks to advance the cause of the regions. As a process, it plays role within the nation as well as outside the nation. At international level, both type of regionalism have different meaning, have positive as well as negative impact on society, polity, diplomacy, economy, security, culture and development and negotiations, etc. Dimensions of regions. Region as a geographical unit is delimited from each other. Region as a social system reflect that relations between different human beings and groups. Region as a organized corporation in cultural, economic, political and military field. Region act as a subject with a distinct identity, language, culture and tradition. Regionalism in India is in diversity of language, culture, ethnic groups, community, religion and so on. If someone is aspiring to make special effort to develop one state or religion and to remove poverty and make social justice, then that cannot be called regionalism. In India, regionalism is in diversity of language, culture, ethnic group, communities and religions and so on. Potential causes of regionalism. Regionalism could be flourished in India if any state or region have felt that they are culturally dominated or discriminated against other states. Low rate of economic growth, socio-economic political organization of the state, lower level of infrastructure facility in backward states, low level of social expenditure by states on education, health and sanitation, political and administrative failures. These all enrooted to regionalism. Clashes in India of regionalism. Linguistic reorganization of states. It was demanded by Poti Sriramalu, a freedom fighter that led to creation of Andhra Pradesh state. Demand for Dravida Nadu. This movement, also known as self-respect movement, initially focused on empowering Dalit, non-Brahmins and poor people. Later, it stood against imposition of Hindi as a sole official language on non-Hindi speaking areas. but it was a demand of carving out their own Dravida Stan or Dravida Nadu, which made it sectionist movement. Next is Telangana movement. In the years after the formation of Andhra Pradesh, people of Telangana expressed this and it creates a formation of Telangana state. Shiva Sena against Kannadigas. In 1966, Shiva Sena in Maharashtra launched a agitation against Kannadigas in the name of Marathi pride. The first target of the agitations were South Indians who were workers of the Udupi Hotel in Mumbai. Bodoland demand with Assam. Bodo agitation is led by Assam Bodo Students Union, which is demanding a separate state and has resorted to wide-scale violence and series of crippling bunds to pursue their demands. Khalistan movement. Now, it was during the era of 1918, the Khalistan movement with the aim of creating a Sikh homeland, often called Khalistan. Attacks by Ulfa on Bihar laborers. Ulfa continued to attempt ambushes and attacks on government security forces in 2003. The Ulfa was accused of killing laborers from Bihar in response to raping of many Assamese girls in train in Bihar. MNS targeting North Indians. It was in 2008, Maharashtra Navnirman Sena workers began with their violent agitation against North Indians. Interstate disputes. There are boundary disputes in our country. For example, Karnataka and Maharashtra on Belgaum, where Marathi-speaking population is surrounded by Kannada-speaking people. Between Karnataka and Kerala on Kasaragod. Between Assam and Nagaland on Ringingma Reserved Forest, there is a dispute over Chandigarh in Punjab and Haryana. The first important dispute regarding use of water resource was over resources, three rivers mainly, Narmada, Krishna and Kaveri, in which state Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Gujarat and Maharashtra were involved. Disputes also arose between Kaveri waters among the states of Tamil Nadu and Kerala and Karnataka. Other disputes arose among the states of Maharashtra, Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh over the use of distribution of waters of the Krishna river. Dispute between Punjab, Rajasthan, Himachal over the use of waters of Ravi river. The electricity sharing issues between Punjab and Delhi is another example of interstate disputes. Impact of regionalism in India. Regionalism is often seen as a serious threat to development, progress, and unity of the nation. It gives internal security challenges by insurgent groups who propagate the feeling of regionalism against the mainstream political administrative setup of the country. Regionalism definitely impacts politics as days of coalition government and alliances are taking place. Regionalism demands become national demands, policies are launched to satisfy regional demands, and generally those are extended to all pockets of the country. Hence, national policies are now dominated by regional demands. Some regional leaders play politics of vote bank based on language culture. This is certainly against the healthy democratic procedures. This always leads to demand for separate state, and it is observed that after creating small states, only few political leaders could run efficient government, else alliance run government, which ultimately makes administration machinery ineffective. The regionalism induced violence and disturbs the whole society. People are killed, students cannot attend the school and colleges. Tourism cannot be promoted. This impacts the development of human resource. Government need to deploy extra force to control the situation, and it has a direct implication on the economy of the nation. Impacted society remains aloof from the mainstream development. Then regional variations and backwardness is clearly reflected. For the progress and development of the country and for the social change, we have to balance these constraints that concludes regionalism. First, I spoke about caste, then ethnicity, then class, then language, then religion. Finally, I told about regionalism. These are constraints for social change in India. Thank you for listening. Please send your valuable feedback. Keep learning. This is me, Salim.